Well, how will we feel about the next band? It's Ben Folds 5 and Whatever and Ever Amen. In the opening montage, you heard Brick, and now you're going to hear Battle of Who Could Care Less.
Will you never rest? Find a battle of who could care less.
Okay, Matt, where are the stats?
So Ben Folds 5, Whatever and Ever Amen comes in number 249 in the 1990s on Best Ever Albums, number 29 in 1997, number 1,350 of all time. It is Ben Folds 5 highest rated album on Best Ever Albums. It did not make Rolling Stone's list, and Ben Folds 5 is ranked number 716 of overall artist rankings on Best Ever Albums.
Yeah, so this album came out March 18th, 1997. Contrary to the band name, it's a trio, not five-piece. They formed in Chapel Hill, North Carolina in 1993. You have Ben Folds on lead vocals and piano, Robert Sledge on bass and backing vocals, and Darren Jesse on drums, percussion, and backing vocals. There are additional musicians peppered throughout this album for different instruments that are unique, like clarinet and things like that are in the album credits. They had 3 studio albums during their first 7 years. They disbanded in 2000, and Ben Folds went solo. They reunited in 2011, put out a 4th album in 2012, and then disbanded again in 2013. They have not reunited again since then. The genres are alternative rock and power pop. Influences Paul McCartney, Queen, XTC, Elton John, and Todd Rundgren. Similar artists: Eels, Rufus Wainwright, Weezer, Billy Joel, Supergrass, and The Rentals. This album reached 42 on the Billboard 200. Their 2012 album, Sound of the Life of the Mind, reached number 10. And as for singles, Billboard says Brick reached 19 in 1997 on the Radio Songs chart. I don't know what the Radio Songs chart is. It didn't explain it. What does that mean? Did it play on the radio? Yes, I guess.
There's a lot of weird charts. It's not just the U.S. charts.
I
It's
know.
like very specific genre charts around this time, so
Right.
Who knows?
Some fun facts. According to Ben, on the name of the band, quote, "I think it sounds better than Ben Folds 3, unquote. Folds once described...
He's right.
Right. Folds once described their music as, quote, punk rock for sissies, reaction to the angst prevalent in 90s rock.
Rock for sissies. Okay.
Yep. That's the eye roll emoji for me when I read that. The album was recorded in the front room of a house in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The first release for their new label, Epic, this album, Folds said the record company did not get to hear the recording till it was finished, saying, quote, "They knew what they were getting into," unquote, which I thought was humorous. The title of the album comes from a lyric in the song Battle of Who Could Care Less. Random and some other random facts about Ben Folds since he went solo more recently. He produced and arranged William Shatner's second album, the 2004's Has Been, co-writing the majority of the songs with Shatner. That's random. Yeah.
That tracks. I could be like, yeah, that makes sense.
More recently, on May 11th, 2017, Folds was appointed the first artistic advisor to the National Symphony Orchestra at the Kennedy Center in D.C. and held the position until this year in 2025. So that's what he's been doing.
To be replaced by, I don't
Right.
know, Kid Rock.
Yeah, exactly. And on October 25th of last year, he released his most recent album, a Christmas album, titled Slayer, Sleighger. So I did not go and listen to that.
Oh, boy.
But yep, that's exactly the reaction I was hoping for, John. So yeah, Ben Folds 5, not just Ben Folds by himself, but the trio. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts and reactions to this album. So let's start with Matt.
Yeah, before John shits all over it. Yeah, Ben Folds to me is one of the more unique artists of the 90s because there weren't a whole lot of people, at least on the radio, right, or popular artists that were putting out stuff like this, right? Like you've got a piano-driven band
Yes.
with a bass player and a drummer. and no guitarist, right? And the bass player also, the bass kind of has like a unique, I mean, there's some parts in this where the bass is super fuzzed out. And so it kind of creates a unique sound for the group. And Ben Folds he's kind of an artist for me that like, he's got some songs that I absolutely love. I think he's got some really beautiful ballads. In some cases, he's got a really great, ear for melody. And some of his solo stuff that he does, particularly in Rock in the Suburbs, there's some excellent songs on that that are just beautiful. He's got some songs that I don't like at all, that just kind of, some of them are on this record, to point out Fair, is I find the second track, I find that the chorus very annoying, and just like not what he's capable of. He's kind of like Paul McCartney in the sense to me that he can just put out something so amazingly beautiful and then put out something that I would regard as just being like, ugh, like I can't like skip,
I wrote this exact fucking line, Josh or Matt, like that to the T almost. So
and it's just it's like, when a guy can write something so beautiful, you're like, you should know better that like, it's just like, it's just like, that's like annoying, right? I never was a big fan of the song Kate. Like the chorus was kind of just like I kind of get what they're doing there with like the kind of interesting syncopated piano part, the offbeat thing there, but it's not a memorable chorus. I guess it's memorable in the sense that like it does stick in my head, but it's not, it's not that great. Steven's Last Night in Town, it's like, what is happening there? They're trying to do this big band thing, right? And it's just like, and I get what he's doing, and it's like, maybe in some other variation that would be kind of cool, but it's like, in some cases I feel like he's trying too hard, right? To be kitschy, to be nerdy, to be clever, And I think that Ben Folds would be served if he kind of just toned it down. Now, I know that I know people love that aspect of Ben Folds, and they'll say that that's one of his strengths, is this ability, is he can do all of these different things. And look, as far as a piano player and a musician and a composer, he's extremely talented, right? And he can delve into some of those things, but for me, they just don't always land. But I think that there's plenty of songs that he has, and many of them on this record, that I do like and that I find unique. I like how it opens with the One Angry Dwarf and 200 Solemn Faces. I've always liked Song for the Dump. That kind of that makes me laugh. He's a little bit of an angry record here. There's several songs in here about breaking up or or taking it out on the bullies that picked on him in high school and whatnot. Relationships broken up. I think the song that stuck out to me this week that I didn't really think of much before was Smoke. I thought that was a really pretty song, kind of unique there. They've got like, I don't know if it's like an accordion or so. Yeah, accordion that's happening there, which I could see for some people like that's not needed, but I kind of like that. I think that there's a really pretty chord progression there and the melody that's really nice. Missing a War is a pretty song. Battle of Who Could Care Less is another kind of Ben Folds banger on this record that I've always enjoyed, and I do like that, like the punk rock for sissies, because there is that kind of like with the piano. I mean, it's not guitar based, but like there is like a little bit of a, they rock out, and it's a little bit, and some of this is angry and some of this is kind of unconventional. So in that sense, I can kind of see where he's going. So, and then you've got a song like Selfless, Cold, and Composed, which is a very jazzy, kind of different song. So there's a lot of things happening on here. I think it's probably at times it's too many things happening, but overall, like, it's a record that I have owned for many years, but it's been a while since I've listened to it. He never comes out as being like, I never think of Ben Folds as being one of my favorite artists. And this album's not like one of my favorite records, but so I was kind of like, what am I going to feel like going into this when I listen to this again? But overall, it was fairly positive. And he certainly has. I mean, Brick kind of stands out. It's always interesting that was a single, because it's kind of not really a traditional song. I did read not too long ago that was actually, I didn't realize that was actually based on a true story, that was, his, like, based on a situation that he and his girlfriend got into when they were in high school, and they actually had an abortion. So, and so,
did people not think that was like, that's what I thought the first time I heard it?
No, I didn't know it was autobiographical.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no,
okay.
I didn't. Yeah. But so yeah, is this for everybody? No, but I felt overall, I think there was only 3 songs that stood out as like I don't really like these, and so 3 out of 12, that means I get 9 that I enjoy, so that's pretty good. And I do give him credit for being kind of unique and experimental and really just being able to write some really pretty melodies, which I'm always a sucker for. So I'm overall thumbs up on this.
What about you, John?
Boy, my 17-year-old self is going to hate me for this because I only somewhat hated this album. And I came in thinking I was going
minor hate from John.
This album. It's funny you said 3 out of 12. I would say I think the revelation. First of all, as much as I always process not liking Ben Folds 5, I actually have always liked the song Brick. I actually think it's a really beautiful song about sorrow. It's a very sad song, but it's sad in a way that music isn't sad often, like sad in how it takes this like life-changing event and makes it very mundane in the way that these things can be. I always thought it was just like, okay, that's the moment where they got to the peak, right? And then the rest of it is They Might Be Giants meets Bare Naked Ladies meets, cabaret pop.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I always process them a little bit. Like,
oh yeah, cabaret pop. That's a good moniker. Yes.
That's how I always just kind of think of this.
Yeah.
I, like you, Matt, the second thing this week I realized is the song Smoke is a really beautiful song. Like that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I did not know they had another song that I really liked like this. And even the first song, as much as I hate the fucking name of it, One Angry Dwarf and 200 Solemn Faces, was actually an enjoyable song. So I have to post up the 3 of the songs on this album, the 12, like I liked more than just I liked them quite a bit. So already, right, that takes an album beyond like the bin of, dislike into it. So we go from there. Now, what sucks on this album sucks a lot. Unlike you, I think Song for the Dumped is the most fucking beta incel, like least. I don't relate to anything in that song. Like angry fucking nerd, like edgelord, just everything about that. I want to just fucking punch this guy. And like that's like the angriness of it. You know what I mean? Like just fucking man up, dude. Like that was what I would say about that one. I was just like, Kate is like another sad sack, like sort of like song that doesn't appeal to me. You're right, Matt. Like, I don't know what the fuck Steven's Last Night in Town was, but it did not work for me, like at all. I think my take would be, as long as Ben Folds stays in like writing like contemplative ballads, he was, the 2 songs that were in that lane were actually very good. I'd say even I wouldn't say I loved what's the gosh, why am I blank? The
Missing the War
ballad, Missing the War. Yes. I wouldn't say I love that, but I appreciated like kind of what he was going for in that. More so than I did sort of like the upbeat, jaunty like nerd rock, which is just not my lane. You're right, Matt. Fair is another one. The Battle of Who Could Care Less, I remember hearing on the radio, and it was like an instant turn for me. But with that being said, like I do think that like this piano-driven rock, I think Ben Folds more frustrates me than anything else, because I know there's this like talented artist in there, and
That's
unlike
true.
They Might Be Giants, who I think were always meant to make like fucking nerd rock, you know what I mean, that just was never going to appeal to me, like yes, like people always say they're talented, yes they are, but in a way that doesn't produce music I ever want to listen to, right? Like I know Ben Folds can like produce music I want to listen to, but like I feel like too often he's covering like Video Killed the Radio Star in a like horrible cover, or that Rock in the Suburbs song that just hits none of the things that appeal to me,
or
and
Bitches Ain't Shit.
Yeah, just like, just all these things, right? It's like a sort of an ironic white guy-ism that just nothing about the persona appeals to me. But my lasting takeaway is there's 3 real gems on this album that would end up on playlists for me. And when a song has 3 gems on it, it can't be a thumbs down. It's like a thumbs in the middle for me, I think, because I like those songs that much. But I'm left with... I'm left wanting more, but also I know I'm not Ben Folds' target audience. So how can I ask for more from a guy who never really exists to please me, right? Like why should he be making albums for me? So I think he'll just sort of be filed away in the, there could be a great album, right, for me, but I just don't think it ever could be made, right? Because the desire of what he wants to do and who he's playing for and like who I am are never going to overlap. But hey, we'll always have Brick and Smoke.
I find it interesting you like One Angry Dwarf and 200 Solemn Faces, but don't like Battle of Who Could Care Less, or even Song for the Dumped, because those songs to me kind of reside in similar lanes. I guess the lyrics of Song for the Dumped, I guess that turns you off, but they seem...
I would agree with you that One Angry Dwarf and 200 Solemn Faces and Battle of Who Could Care Less like reside in the same lane. I don't know if it's like the notes he chooses, right? Like hit my ears a little bit better and more intrusive. I actually don't view Song for the Dumped as being similar to either of them, both lyrically and I don't know. There's just something about that song that like, just when you're screaming a chorus, is it like, give me back my fucking money or whatever? Like it's just...
Well, I'm talking more musically. They're just kind of like those. They're like the bigger, upbeat, rock out piano type songs in that vein. So
I hear you, and I wouldn't say that One Angry Dwarf and 200 Solemn Faces are anywhere near the two songs I like the most. And like I said, I think my ultimate much like every R&B album for you, Matt, is like an up tempo like R&B album, and you don't want ballads like. Maybe my Ben Folds is like
the ballads.
Solemn ballads. Yeah.
Did you like Evaporated? I thought that was a pretty song.
It was okay. It was a little generic. There were bits and pieces. It was a little generic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys seem like you're holding back because I really did not like this album. I
didn't dislike I like this album, so I wouldn't hold it back at all.
You're gonna get the John take.
Let's do it, Josh.
You thought you were getting from me, but I changed it up on you.
So. Emily brought up an interesting essential question because she used to really like Ben Folds and used to like this album, but now she hates it. And so, like, what are bands that you have? I don't want you to answer this, but like, think about bands that you may have liked in the past when you were younger that you like no longer have a relationship with or like actively hate. So that like made me think throughout the week. When
I have thought, I'm not going to answer because I don't know if I have an answer. I have thought about this before because I've talked to people that like. Have
like
said
that you
similar
really
things.
liked, or just kind of liked a little bit and then grew out of, or like did you have to really like them?
Like either way, I think it can be any sort of interpretation. But
I've always taken that question to be like a band, a group, somebody that you liked and now you hate.
Yeah.
Like there's groups that I certainly like. Like I don't like Soul Asylum nearly as much as I did back in 1994. Right. So, but I don't hate. I still like Grave Dancers Union. I don't hate it, but
sure.
It's the total 180 is what I'm talking about, and I don't know if I have that. I think I can find. I think I can find value
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, continue.
Yeah.
Josh.
Anyway, I found this album very grating and annoying. I kept thinking too, like John's definition of nerd rock. I was like, this is like how he must feel.
You
about
now get
nerd
it,
rock bands. Because this is like the label for me.
There you go.
I really hate this like performative, like theatrical, jazzy like attempt, like big band, like all of the genres that are in here, and the way it's like so kind of over the top and like winky in a like a really like face punching way. Like I really do not like it. I can and to your guys' point, I can really
it
like
only gets there fully for me on Song for the Dumped.
Yeah,
that's when I felt I was right with you, Josh.
Yeah, and so I didn't even really like Brick when it was back in, and I remember hearing that on the radio a lot, especially since I lived in North Carolina then. So I think it kind of is probably on the radio even more because I was in that Chapel Hill area.
Well, and more abortions too.
Yeah. Bro, yeah. Active.
Too soon?
Yeah. And so I can tell he's talented because I think a lot of these compositions are like very complex and like thought out and like good jazz. There's like complexity there and like an organic nature that I just can't like, it just doesn't translate for me in this album as a whole. So I'm glad he like took that artistic advisor position because I feel like that is like well used Ben Folds, probably. I feel like there's other artists that we haven't talked about that kind of fit into this genre. I recall like my cousin liking a band that I can't think of the name of that probably falls in this. Maybe somebody like Amanda Palmer
for Fighting.
also. I really don't like.
Weren't they in the play Five for Fighting?
I don't
them.
I don't know that band.
Guys, people.
Oh yeah. But I just don't. I find and this is like his voice. When we were talking about Promise Ring, this was like the other side of the coin where his voice is kind of a little whiny, but he actually has a better voice than that singer from the Promise Ring. So it like,
for sure.
It like holds up. And
well,
so,
there's
like,
there's also great harmonies in this
Yeah.
too. Like they harmonize pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
he's on tune too. Like I'd like to
Yeah.
point out, that's a big
Yes.
difference.
Yeah, absolutely. But I really just didn't like it. I think it's ultimately really hard to do like piano driven like rock and roll. I mean, we all know how we've talked about Billy Joel, but Todd Rundgren also like really came to mind, and you know how I felt about
yes.
Todd Rundgren. And like, so this is definitely in that lane as well. Just kind of the chaotic nature of it. It's hard. I think it's just hard to make up-tempo piano sound cool when it's like front and center, like when you don't have a lot of other instruments and like a jazz quartet or, you know, even, I don't know. It just like,
unless you're like Elton John.
right. And like that works so much better. Like, you know, that's like the other side of the coin in a way, like in a way that that works.
Can I go an essential question?
Sure.
Is Ben Folds like an evolutionary Billy Joel?
Like he's the dark version of Billy Joel that
Like, because
doesn't
think
work?
about how I feel about Billy Joel, right? And like
Yeah.
how I described him, and think about how you're describing Ben Folds in terms
Yeah.
of how he hits your ear.
But Billy Joel is like he's more like mid-tempo piano in a lot of ways, and like ballad.
Yes.
Than this
Well,
is. This,
He has some
Depends
up,
on the
you know,
song.
Yeah.
He's got
depends
upbeat
on the
stuff.
song. He's got a lot of upbeat
that's
stuff.
true.
Yeah, he does.
I guess ultimately like kind of the nerdiness.
Hard attack, tack, 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 tack song is pretty upbeat. Yeah.
But piano driven rock is definitely like Billy Joel, Elton John, Ben Folds is kind of like he it's not unheard of to kind of throw him in that conversation because
Right.
it's also because there's not a whole lot of them anyway to begin with. So
Yeah,
Well,
I
want to
just
hear
think
related artists?
yeah.
Wow.
Well, I did do
Go
some of them,
ahead and
yes.
finish, and then I'll do it later.
But I think I think the nerdiness comes through in a way that just completely like does not work for me, and the chaotic, jazzy like big band nature of a lot of these songs doesn't work for me. I don't even really like the ballads, the slower ballads that much. It just it feels very ineffectual or like inauthentic to me in a lot of ways. Like I don't feel. I think there is emotion behind the songs, but it just doesn't translate through my ears to me. It doesn't work. It leaves me cold, and I just found myself bristling most of the time listening to this album. So it's a thumbs down for me. Yeah.
oof.
Okay. I did not have that on my bingo card. I had a feeling you might not like this, Josh, because there is a Venn diagram of the type of stuff that triggers both of us. It's interesting though, because you're like able to like find the middle ground on some of the stuff that just drives me insane.
Right.
And like I was able to find the middle ground on this, and this drove you insane. So I guess it is like the jaunty piano, which is like the sound that you can't listen to in the way that's sort of like pop culture referencey nerd like rock, you know, or like I read books about science, right? Like type of highly literate, you know, pop music is my trigger. So we'll just have to figure out what Matt's is. Is there a verse? Well, what do you think, Matt? Is there a nerd rock that triggers you?
I don't know.
Yeah. Think about it.